talented. So that was something eye-opening for me, you know, is that when you give these people that seem different than us, when you give them the same resources that we have, I would actually expect them to perform better than me if I was competing. So, okay, so that's it for the water test. I'm gonna give Mr. Cheever, I think I have about 13 samples. I have 3 bottles of each. So I wanna know if there's metals in there, and if those metals are a health risk. I wanna know if there's other bacterias present in the water. And I also wanna know, are there other things that we should be looking at in their water that should be of a concern? And then what are some ideas of what this hospital can do to make this situation better? So, questions, comments, reactions?
I know this is a simple question, but I'm not sure all the students know about E. coli and just the source of it. So I think that was an assumption, but I think it would be helpful for them to know. I know that's not the particular thing we're going to be looking at, because that's something that there's a solution for, either the buckets or boiling. But if you wouldn't mind mentioning.
Yeah, so 3 years ago, when we decided we wanted to focus on preventing people from getting sick, not just treating people in the clinic with all the doctors and nurses. So that's why I came along. I'm not a doctor, I'm not a medical professional, but we realized if we can help them with clean water, we can prevent a lot of illnesses in the first place. So what we researched was what kind of water sample tests can we do with low resources out in the field. We don't have a lab. And we found out that E. coli is an indicator bacteria of human fecal matter, of waste. We don't have toilets. E. coli is also naturally occurring in soil. It comes from animal poop. It comes from human poop. If someone goes to the bathroom near the river, it soaks into the soil, or when it rains, it washes into the river. So E. coli, the presence of this bacteria is an indication of improper sanitation. E. coli itself, actually, James, you told me this fact about E. coli, that it's like the #1 cause of death, which is caused by bacteria. I mean, by diarrhea.
Number one cause of diarrhea. That's why this test is very important. There's probably 15, 20 other kinds of bacteria that cause diarrhea, but this is a major one. Put it this way, just to give you guys some shock value, a third of these kids that you see running around, a third of them don't make it to 5 years old. So a third of these kids will die before they're 5. And out of those kids that die, a majority of them die because of diarrhea. So what you guys are going to be doing on this project, any information you guys provide, anything you guys can help us with making sure this water is safe, is going to save these kids. And not only that, they're the kids that are in the hospital, patients that are in the hospital are even more vulnerable, right? Because they're already sick. So someone who's sick and not drinking bad water is even more likely to die. So you guys are going to be, we say indirectly, but I would say you guys are going to be directly saving some lives by testing the water and let us know if this is unsafe or not. So kind of big deal kind of stuff, right? So you have people that go through life and not even have this opportunity. You guys have a huge opportunity to really impact somebody, and I think it's a huge honor on my end to be able to have this opportunity for you guys to do this. And I'm super happy that I met Mr. Cheever, and this is our second year doing this, and I'm really glad that we brought Steve on to actually get into this very specific task we're asking you guys to help us with. And I think it's got massive public health, global health ramifications. It's really awesome to see.
Yeah, so E. coli was all we were able to test for in the field, which was good enough because within 48 hours we had our test results, and we could, while we're still in Papua New Guinea, so we could return to that school or that village and tell them, hey, we tested your water, it has a high presence of E. coli. even though we already knew we knew we were going to find E. coli in the streams and the rivers, but I think it helped to go back and tell them, hey, we actually tested your water, and to try to convince them that it's important to treat it. So, so E. coli was kind of the low-hanging fruit when you don't have a lab, and that's about all I know about the bacteria. Other questions? Yes?
So this 20-odd year filters for bacteria?
Yeah, so
Heavy metals, there's information.
yeah, so we didn't show the filter that we're giving out. So the filter does not remove everything. It's I think this one is, what is it, 0.1 micron. Yeah, 0.1 micron. So this company, Sawyer, is in Florida. They have different sized filters. It looks like a sprinkler head, kind of. So the different filters have different size membrane. So this particular one is 0.1 microns. So cholera, botulism, typhoid, which is salmonella, amoebic dysentery, E. coli, coliform bacteria, streptococcus, and salmonella. Those are bacteria, and then protozoan, Giardia, Cryptosporidium, and Cyclospora. So those are the things that this filter removes. 0.02 microns. We had another filter that's 0.02 microns, so it's whatever it is at 5 times smaller, finer. So those remove additional viruses. So this doesn't even remove every virus, but it does remove E. coli. It doesn't remove some of the metals that were dissolved, unfortunately, and they have mining activities. So that's something we could even run. I don't know if we have enough samples, maybe we could filter one, test it before it's filtered and test it after, and see if it removed what it's supposed to and what it didn't remove. We had a water sample from the well that we filtered into a water bottle, and the next day, and it looked very clear, and the next day someone freaked out and said, look at this bottle of water, it turned yellow. What we concluded, and we can't prove this, but what we believe, our hypothesis is that there's metals in the water that oxidized once they were pulled out of the ground. Oxygen mixed with that water sample, and it's kind of like rust. So the water turned yellow, and from our research, it's still safe to drink. If you have some iron in your water, your body actually needs iron. You just don't want too much. So.
And going back to the heavy metals, I know that we worry about lead and heavy metals and things like that, but sadly, the life expectancy is 40, 50 years old. So by the time we worry about heavy metals, killing us later, causing dementia, causing Alzheimer's disease, and some other things like that. I mean, it's kind of a point right now where we're trying to deal with the immediate killers right now. We'll talk later about triple filtration, which is UV filtration, reverse osmosis, and carbon filtration. And the carbon filter actually removes those metals also. So that's something else that I'd like to see if you guys could potentially test for heavy metals and give us some feedback on that. Then we can actually bring that data back as well and let them know that maybe their pipes have issues, maybe they're getting water from a source where there's contamination from the mines. So yeah. Another question. Back.
I was just wondering, because it said $3.27. Is that the Papua New Guinea dollars for 50 liters, or is that Australian dollars?
Yeah, you're really harping on that Australian to U.S. dollar question, aren't you? No, it's Australian dollars. The Australian dollar is about $1.20. Actually, what's it? 1.3. Yeah, so it's actually about 80 cents, 70, 80 cents or so per dollar. So that $3.27 will be about let's see, about $2.80 or so.
How many liters is how many is 50?
That's 50 liters.
50 liters is how much gallons?
What's that?
How much gallons about?
I think it's 3.8 liters
Yeah,
per
so it's
gallon.
about 4, so that'll be it'll be about 16 liters or so. 16 gallons, I'm sorry. think it's time for some, I think we've got another question.
When was Water Hands Help established?
It was established in 2014 by a group of how many volunteers? Seven. This man gets a beanie. All right, so we're doing a Q&A session. So
Q&A session, guys. You guys know